Hi, this is Professor Mataska, and welcome to our final exam review for CPS 1032 Spring 2020. I'll record this, and basically this will be linked up to YouTube, and I'll have you guys I'll post it up as an announcement, and this will walk you through the final exam. Just a reminder, final exam is next Wednesday, May 13th. It'll be up from 10 a.m. till 10 p.m. Just make sure to finish by the deadline at 10 p.m. It will be 50 questions. Again, true, false, some multiple choice, some fill-ins, some matching. I will grade each by hand, so make sure to put the closest answer you can, or at least put something down so I can go in here and give credit, even if it is partial. It'll be 90-minute time limit, open book and notes, and it'll be from chapters in Access, chapters 1, 2, 3, and 4, and PowerPoint 1 and 2. I will now walk you through some of the contents that will be on Access. And again, just a reminder, I will be in class tomorrow night, even though we're not scheduled to meet. I will be there just for a Q&A if anybody needs it. All right, so that being said, Chapter 1, Introduction to Access, we shall cover here. Basically, what we're looking at for this chapter are how to do a database, create a database, the different parts of a database, how to filter and sort, and then creating an Access database from scratch. That starts on 662. And again, I'm walking through the ebook. 663, just be familiar with the way things look. Know the table up top there in figure 1-1. But really nothing more topical than that. And again, I'm just going to hammer some of the main things. At the top, know what a database is. Again, it's a collection of anything that you put together in list information. Down at the bottom, there's no Access at the bottom on page 664. Access is the software that you would use for working with a database for Microsoft. There are other other database software, but we're working on Access. On 665, know how to open, save, and create a database. This carries forward to 666. Check. Definitely know figure 1.4 as far as on the left-hand side, all access objects, tables, queries, enabling content so you could actually work with it, and then the ribbons as far as external data, database tools, which we will cover in the corresponding next 4 chapters. So be familiar with that on 666. Know how to save a database. No backstage view here on 1.5, different save options on 1.5. At the bottom, on 666 to 667 rather to 668, be familiar with objects. Know the different objects, which include tables, queries, forms, and reports. Those are the ones that majorly we worked on. Definitely be familiar with this figure, 1.6. There's the access objects on the left, tables, again, queries, forms, and reports. Those are the major ones that we worked with. So be familiar with those, what they're for. Tables, that's where you create and type your information in. Queries, those are your searches. Forms, those are the individual information for each person in the table or company in the table. And then reports, that's a summation value. They define or start definition-wise on 668. And again, carry up to 669 with query, form, they're your examples. And then on 670, reports. So those are the 4 main things that we're going to do. Those are basically how they look. And that goes up to 670. 671, good chart to know through how tables, which is the start place, and you can form reports, run queries, and forms interact with tables. So a brief overview of this will give you the interaction format and how they work. Macros and modules, which we didn't really cover too much, but definitions are there. At the bottom of 671. 672. Again, know the ribbons, database tools, figure 113. Those are some of the tools that are there. And then table view, which you see here in figure 1.14. We have multiple tables open and are working with multiple things, all on 672. 673, datasheet view. No datasheet versus design view. Datasheet views here on 673. Know how to navigate through the records at the bottom. There's the records as you would be toggling through. Underneath on 117, that's forms view. It's the same thing, only in a different view, and that's again the individual, in this case customer. On 674. 675, finding records, all right, editing records, changing records. Design view, which starts on the bottom of 675 and carries over into 676. This is where you would type in and create a table. So definitely be familiar down there at the bottom in figure 1.20. There's your design view, and those are the basic field names and data types that are being created for this table. Also underneath the general section, that's where you would basically set criteria of each field and what it was allowed or not allowed to do. Know how to rename a table, top of 677. Table description at the bottom of that same page. 678. Going through and looking at the different objects and the description of the objects. Bottom of 678, relationship view. That's where you have linked up tables where information, like again your student ID, should be the same in each and every class you have. Figure 1.23 shows this. The lines that are connected are the indicator of the relationship between the tables and between whatever fields they have related. It's all on 679. 680. Bottom of 680, adding records. Know how to add records. Also know how to delete records. So it's 681, figure 1.25. They're showing you how to add a record. In figure 1.26, adding a record only in form view. Same thing, just a different view inside form view. Deleting records on 682. There's the deleting record, figure 1.27. Database utilities. Be familiar with how to back up a database, and again, backstage view. Also know why you would compress it. All right, save space, and also to email it, compare, and repair rather, and compact. Why you would set that up, just to make sure the database is running properly. This carries on to 685. .686 continues it on. .687 starts the hands-on. So again, just be familiar with those. I'll skim through those. Those are just practicality of the stuff that we just covered, which goes from 677, 687 around the 688, 689, 690. .691, 692, 693, and it concludes on 694. So as we start 695, know how to do filters and sorts. As your filter, we worked with filters before in Excel, so know how to like uncheck and check what you need to see. Here's unfiltered table, so that's everything. Down here at the bottom in figure 1.37, it's filtered, and job titles all are by owners, so owners have been filtered under basically contact title, so they're only showing those. That's on 696. 697. All right. Again, finding records that contain values, so we're filtering again. Bottom is 697 to 698, filter by form. figure 1.39, there's filter by form in table view, and there's filter by form in form view. So two different ways to see it on 698. 699, sorting tables, going through performing different sorts, A to Z, Z to A, ascending, descending, by different criteria and categories. That's on 699 to 700. Here's the hands-on for the next section, so we'll quickly skim through that. Again, this just covers lab-wise what we just covered, theoretically wise. 703. 704. And should conclude on 706. 707, creating a database, access creation. So again, this is where you're basically piecing it together, and you can either use a blank database or basically a template that's been designed and set up for you. So that's on 707, 708. $709, there are the templates. More templates on 710. WABC. More template information. Desktop templates and databases. Using a web template. Goes up to 713 and concludes on 714 with the last part. That concludes the hands-on will walk us through the chapter. Starts on 714. Again, if you want practicality, you can look through it. But the topics we just covered, again, are just demonstrated in this section. $717, $718. Brings us to the end of chapter 1. And we'll click back. Shrink. We'll go to chapter 2. Tables and queries. Tables and queries. Starts on 732. So tables and queries, in this section we will go through 4 parts: table design, creation, multiple table, single table, and multiple table queries. So we will cover that here in chapter 2 in Access. Mm-hmm. 733 just introduces us, shows us the links again with the relationship window. Be familiar with designing a table base, designing a database rather. 734. There's a table. They're going to create 3 tables. Those are your table names and your fields. You type in the people, which are your records. 735, 736. Primary key. You know what your primary key is. Again, that's the initial sort. 737, data redundancy, make sure there's no errors. Okay, that's on 737. $738, creating the database from scratch. So there's a table, there's the design, all in figure 2.4. That's on 738. Determining data types, bottom of 739. There's some that start here. Bottom of 739, long text, number, date, time. Continuation here with hyperlinks, linked objects, yes, no. And then there's the primary key at the bottom of 740. 741, foreign key, it's a primary key in another table. And then field properties at the bottom of 741 and 742 basically discusses what actually the field would have, or the restrictions or non-restrictions on the field. Table 2.2 covers what those would be. Field size down to expression and result type. It's on 742. 743, modifying in design view, changing in design view. It's on 743. And again, know how to create a table from scratch. Hands-on walks you through what we just covered. Starts on 744. Again, not bad to go over just to see the steps in action, because as we will do a variety of different things on the final exam, which includes matching and fill-ins. Continues on to 749 and concludes on 748. Next topic on 749, which is multiple table databases. Know how to create more than one table. Here's the input wizard. They're bringing in a different Excel file, and they're showing you how to step by step and walk through and create it and put it in and make it into an existing table that you do not have to type. So you walk through a series of steps, answer those steps question by question, link by link, and at the conclusion it will bring it in and create a table for you that's all set up. Again, naming it here on 753. The lower, the less formatting you have, rather, the easier it is to bring it in and have any errors completely and utterly reduced to nil. Creating a table relationship starts on 754. There's the relationship window, which we saw in the previous chapter, and again, you can see basically the things that are linked up on 755. Referential integrity, easy for me to say, is basically any errors that would occur. You want to minimize those things that are the same. Your Social Security is your Social Security throughout. Cascade options, all right, different options to basically set it up. And then the relationship, one-to-many, one-to-one, and many-to-many. Starts on page 756. There's the dialog box for the relationship, and there's the one-to-many, one-to-one, and many-to-many on 757. It's a big plane. 758, continuation of same. Hands-on starts on 759 for multiple table database creation. $761. 762. 763. 764. Referential integrity on 765. And it should conclude on 766. And moving up to 767 should be our single table query. So here we're using one query to do a search that begins on 767. $768. There's our criteria at the bottom in figure 2.30. So we're doing a search, and we're using one table. Next section we'll do a search using multiple tables. Query wizard, 770. Again, you're walking through step by step. There's on figure 2.32 the different ribbons. Here you're going through, you're choosing which categories, which tables. On 771. Continuing on 772. 773, different data types. Wildcards, bottom of the page on 773, and we talked about those in the Windows chapter. Asterisk, the question mark. Comparative operators. So again, less than, greater than, working with null and or, and not. All different ways to categorize and look for stuff in your single table or multiple table query. These are examples on 775, some good examples to take a look at. Bottom of 775, they talk about query sort. And then on 776, running a query. So that was all single table query information. Changing query data, 777. Hands-on 3 walks us through what we just covered. So I'll skim through that. Different sorts, 779. Changing data, modifying a query on 780. 781, wrapping up. 782, multiple table queries. Multiple table queries, same concept, only instead of just a single table, you're using more than one table. Concepts do not change, it's just more than one table. So in here they're including 3. You can see the relationship there. Modifying a query, 784. $785, more info. $786, some results from multiple table query. 787, summarizing the information. 788, that's hands-on 4. And it walks you through adding different tables to a query, steps to go through and what to include, modifying a query, 790, so making changes, summarizing on 791. And that concludes Chapter 2 for Access. So I will go back. Close up Chapter 2. Open up Chapter 3. Chapter 3 in Access, using queries to make decisions. So 3 sections in here we will go through are calculations and expressions. That's the complicated formulas. Expression builder, that's the dialog box that you pick and choose. And then aggregate functions to do totals, averages, sums towards the bottom. So those are the 3 sections. And the chapter starts on 810. 811 presents you with the data. 812, be familiar with calculations and expressions, order of operations, and again at the bottom, be familiar with the different math operators, and we covered this in Excel, so this is not like it's brand stinking new. 813, order of operations, expression builder on 813. We're setting it up, or we're going in to do a calculation in the field, so we're typing in the calculation, and that starts on 814. 815, again we're modifying, and we're obtaining results of creating a calculated field, all in one section over there, one query. More expressions. Property sheet, which will be on the right hand side, where we click and show basically different views. There's the property sheet in figure 3.9. So be familiar with modifications for there. Common errors on 817 to 818. Again, making sure parentheses are there, things are not improperly coded or created. 818 continues that thought. Verifying or converting calculated results on 819. 820 starts the hands-on. There's building expressions. More legwork and building expressions. Formatting fields. Common errors on 823. Evaluating results, 824. 825. More of same. 826. Next section. 2 out of 3. Expression builder. Be familiar with the expression builder, how it looks over here, and what it contains in figure 3.16. Bunch of steps. 827. .17, there's the expression builder, even larger form. Be familiar with how to set up the formulas for there. Continues towards the bottom with function, the argument, same thing as we did in Excel, different parts of a formula. More expression builder on 829. More expression builder on 830. PMT function starts on 830, carries to 831. Again, different functions inside the expression builder. And the format on the way they would be set up. 831 continues. .832 is the hands-on. So we start there, walk through 832. Steps on 833. Calculating PMT function, 834. 835, more results from mortgage payments. Still more information on creating and setting up order of operations with regard to interest and time period, which concludes on 836. Last section here, 837, starts the aggregate function, the total function. No average, total, max, sum, standard deviation. All these start, and they show you how to do the calculations starting on 837. 838, more calcs, and then creating aggregate functions. 839, totals query. Shows up at the bottom, and it gives you different options on what to choose from. Grouping, putting stuff together that makes logical sense. There's your queries, setup, design view. Doing calculations and totals. Here's how it would show up with conditions. That's on 841. 842, calculated fields, how you would set it up. 843 begins to wrap. Hands-on 3, aggregate functions, creating totals and queries. 845, more steps on 846. More calculations, 847. And concludes Chapter 3 on 848. So I'll scroll down. Chapter 3, 1, 2, and 3 are in the books. Chapter 4, we'll go through creating and using forms and reports. Forms and reports. Let's load this section. Last section in Access. And what our coverage will be are forms and reports. That's it. So for Chapter 4 Access, those are the two things that we worked on. 863 starts this chapter. Know what a form is. Again, it's basically one person or company's information. Starts on 864. 865. Putting together records. And identifying, looking. And again, that's what a form is. It's the one look of one individual record in a table. Looking at form tools, figure 4.2, controls and layout views on 866. It's 867. More form views. 868, layout view. Continues on. There's figure 4.5, forms in layout view. Design view on 869. Subforms 869 into 870. And again, it'll be a form within a form, different. It's like split view, split form will be the form and the actual table. As you can see here in figure 4.8, multiple items form. Goes up to 872. (873) printing, modifying, editing forms. 874, more same. 875, themes, again as we worked with before, different themes. 876, form controls. Again, how they look, where they center, where they are designed. Working with form layout, modifying a layout, 877. 878, more continuation. Sorting records, 879. There's the hands-on starting on 880. Form tools. Again, they're showing you how what we just carried through, putting together and working on different variations. Editing in form view. (883). Layout view, 884. More steps, 885. And 886 should be the wrap. Nope, a few more steps. Layout control on 887. 888. Winding down. 889, report basics. So we start reports on 889. Be familiar with what a report is. Reporting tools. all beginning on 889. 890, some of the report tools, and basically 4.2 report groups tab, creating options, things that exist, report tool on 890. Report wizard, 891. Again, you're working through doing step by step as far as what to include, what not to include. It's 892. 893, more inclusion, what to show. 894. 895, using the wizard to create labels. 896. 897, using reports view, printing, previewing. 898, modifying, making changes, modifying the layout. 899, more controls, adding fields to a report. 'Deleting fields, adjusting, changing widths, all on 900. 'Themes, report layouts, sorting records on 901. 'Sorting in a report, it's on 902. 903 starts our hands-on with regard to creating reports using the different tools that are available. Some more steps with regard to adding fields, properties. Report views on 905. Modifying reports, 906. More steps on 907. Sorting in a report, 908. Brings us to the end of Access, Chapter 4. So Access is finalized. We now move on to the last two chapters for PowerPoint. That will be PowerPoint chapters 1 and 2. And they will start on page 924. And what we will cover basically here are 4 parts. Working with PowerPoint, presentation creation, enhancements of the presentation, and navigating and printing. All starting on PowerPoint, all starting for 924. Here's the breakdown of the project, 925. We'll get into the terminology on 926. Know how to work with a PowerPoint, knows PowerPoint slides, know what a deck is, okay? Be familiar with the different views, which start on 926 and go up to 927, including normal view, and the different views accordingly, which would be slide sorter view, slide show, notes, all those. No normal views where you work with the actual slideshow, doing its basic editing. You can edit in all modes, but that's the base mode. Using PowerPoint views effectively. There are the views, normal down to reading view. In the next pages, we'll see examples of each. Know when to use them. Slide sorter view shows basically what's going on, how many slides there are, allows me to move them. Notes pane view, 931. Reading view, 931 and 932. Slideshow view, 932 at the bottom. Presenter view, 933. As you can see, it's a dual view. Speaker notes. Know where speaker notes are, what they're for. They're for whoever's going to present, like me now. Know where they're located at the bottom. Know the examples they give. PowerPoint, slideshow saving. Know the different ways to save. Again, know what save versus save as is. Save versus save as. Hands-on 1 starts here on 936, opening, taking a look at a PowerPoint presentation. 937, speaker notes. 938, PowerPoint slideshow. Book's taking its little time to load. Sitting here as we're waiting. Again, just a reminder, as we're waiting, 50 multiple choice, true, false, fill in the blanks, essay. All those. They'll be on 90-minute time limit, and again, it's open book and notes. So, all these things very similar to like it was with the midterm. Looks like the book is frozen from Pearson, which again, it's not a surprising situation as it's happened in our class many a time. We'll jump to 940 if we can. Basically designing a slideshow. So be familiar with how to design a slideshow and basically setting it up. That's 940. So this is basically where you're creating your slideshow. How to design it, optimally how to design it. All right, talk about parallel construction, 941. 7x7 guidelines, which we talked about last week. Changing themes, making variations. There's your layouts, 943. Different layout types, or 943 into 944. Different slide types, be familiar with those. (945) key points, title and content, title only, conclusions. All right. Reviewing presentations, spelling, spell check, and then basically visual content. Make sure that the elements, like the fonts, the colors, all that stuff, are consistent. Carries up to 947. There's the hands-on 2, starts on 948, including planning, putting together a presentation, adding content, different types of content, editing, going through and just changing the layout levels. 950, elements, 951, reordering slides, 952. Next section, 953, enhancements, using a table. Creating and using a table, importing a table, putting multimedia objects in there, whether it's audio or video, or smart art or any things like that. It's 954. Transitions and animations, know how to put them in and know the difference between them. Transitions from slide to slide, animations, anything that would be layered on a slide. Animating objects. 956. 957, header and footer. Headers and footers on 957. 958. Dialog box. 959 wraps this section. Hands on 3. Walking us through presentation enhancements. Multimedia objects on 961. 962 transitions from slide to slide. 963 animations, object by object. 964 handouts. Putting those together. Last section in Chapter 1 of PowerPoint, navigating and printing. Be familiar with how to print, what to print, the entire slide, outline. Putting together editing content. (967) Annotations to any of the slides. Printing in PowerPoint, backstage view, 968. More changes, printing handouts, 969. Notes page, 970. To practice different steps, 971 before giving the presentation. Hands on 4, navigating a slideshow on 972. 973, annotations, making notes to a slide. Printing on 974. And ending at 975, Chapter 1, PowerPoint. We shall move on to the last chapter, Chapter 2. Four things here. Templates, outlines, data imports, and design. All Chapter 2, all enhancements, all PowerPoint, the final chapter on the final exam. Information is presented on 991. So templates on 992, know what they are, know a wizard, know how they look. 993, looking for templates, whether it be locally, whether it be online. 994, more with templates. 995, modifying a template, changing it the way you want, adding stuff, deleting things. Adding pictures, creating captions, 996. Hands-on 1, creating a new presentation based on a given template. It's on 997. Modifying, placeholder text, 998. 999, changing layouts. Lucky 1000. Adding pictures, changing captions. More steps, 1001, to creating enhancements. Next section, 1002, outlines. Be familiar with outlines, hierarchy, how it's set up. Again, designing of a presentation. 1003, outline view. Modifying outline structure, 1004. 1005, printing in outline view. All outline information. 1006. Different steps. 1007 is hands-on 2. How to use outline view. Again, the steps that we just went through. Editing in outline view. Modifying outline structures and then printing them. Some more steps on 1010. 1010 wins. 1011, importing. Be familiar with importing, and in this case it's an outline. So you can bring it in and basically create slides from there without having to type from scratch. 1012, those are your examples of your outlines. All right. Figure 2.17, reusing slides. How to use slides from another presentation. That long chapter concluded, or section rather, concluded. Chapter 3, data imports, no rich text format and TXT format, bringing those in. Reusing slides from another presentation. How to do that and save time. That's 1014. 1015 will more than likely wrap up part 3. Last section, 1016, design. Be familiar with changing design. Also know what sections are within a PowerPoint. (2017) slideshow design principles. Again, know your audience, who you're presenting to, whether it's third grade or a CEO. That's 2018. Those are some examples. Remember, keep it simple. Some more example principles on 1019. No consistency, no fonts. It's 1019. 1020, text, when to use text, what type of text, bolding, italicize, when to do them. That's 1020. 1021 is changing themes, color schemes, what you could change, what's available, and again, just making sure that everything's consistent, whether it's fonts, whether it's effects, or whether it's backgrounds. All on 1021. 1022, know what slide masters are. Again, they change everything throughout the presentation. 1022 up to 1023. It's an example of editing and changing slide master. And this will, I'll walk us through the hands-on 4. As I do that, again, a reminder, exam is up next week, May 13th, from 10 o'clock in the a.m. to 10 o'clock in the p.m. 50 questions, open book of notes. It's on the chapters that I just covered. Access 1 through 4, PowerPoint 1 and 2. Very similar to what we did on the midterm. 90-minute time limit. Once you start, you have to complete it. And then other than that, everything will be due by next Wednesday, May 13th. So if you guys have any questions, I'll be doing the Q&A tomorrow. So just check this out. Ask me any last-minute questions. Make sure everything's uploaded. I shall get grades in ASAP over the course of the next week. And then by next Wednesday, once the final exam is done, we are done. I will submit grades. And I want to thank you guys for a very unusual semester. Hopefully we never have to do this again. But if you ever need anything moving forward, feel free to email me. I'm always around, available. So above all, be safe. Make sure you take care of yourself and get me everything by the deadline so I can get grades in. And again, thanks for a great semester. I wish it ended differently, but just take care of yourselves and make sure everybody's okay. All right.